Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. We are diving into a pretty unique combo today.
Yeah.
Plant-Based Whole30 with the side of Snoop Dogg's cookbook, From Crook to Cook.
Yeah, an interesting pairing for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so fun about these deep dives.
Mm.
You know, we bring these seemingly random things together.
Right.
And we see what kind of insights we can gain, and I have a feeling we are going to have a lot of fun today.
I think so too. And it's funny because, on the surface, we've got this very strict health-focused program.
Right.
And then we have Snoop's more indulgent culinary adventures. But what's interesting is that they both actually seem to emphasize this idea of food freedom.
Yeah. Okay, so let's
Yeah.
break that down a little bit,
Yeah.
starting with the Plant-Based Whole30. Now it's not just about going vegan for a month, right?
No, not at all. It's much more than that. It's structured in two phases.
Yeah.
There's a 30-day elimination period followed by a reintroduction period.
Okay.
But the goal really is to help you develop a deeper understanding of how food affects you personally, both physically and mentally.
So I'm seeing a lot about this idea of resetting your relationship with food.
Yeah.
What does it actually mean, in the context of this program?
Well, think of it as hitting the refresh button on your habits and cravings.
Okay.
During the elimination phase, you're removing common inflammatory foods. So things like added sugar, alcohol grains, most soy processed treats, and this really helps you identify any potential sensitivities you might have. And it helps you break those autopilot eating patterns that we all develop.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And they have this thing called the pancake rule, which seems to be about more than just pancakes.
Exactly. You can't have pancakes, waffles, or baked treats, even if they're made with technically compliant ingredients.
Oh, interesting.
It's more about breaking that association we have with those foods as rewards or comfort so you can approach them more mindfully later on.
That makes a lot of sense. I also noticed that they advise against weighing yourself during the elimination phase.
Yeah.
Why is that so crucial?
It's all about focusing on non-scale victories.
Yeah.
So things like increased energy, better sleep, reduced cravings, improved digestion. It's about how you feel, not just how you look.
Yeah, and with so many food groups eliminated, especially on a plant-based diet, how do you make sure you're getting all the nutrients you need?
That's a great question, and the program really emphasizes working with your healthcare provider and considering supplementation. Things like a good multivitamin DHA and EPA from algae oil and potentially iron are all recommended to make sure you're meeting your nutritional needs.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
When I think plant-based, I think fiber.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think about a lot of beans and lentils.
Lots of beans.
Does the program address the, shall we say, potential digestive side effects of all that fiber?
They do, and they encourage a gradual increase in fiber intake.
Okay.
Opting for cooked vegetables over raw and incorporating fermented soy products like tempeh and miso, which are a lot easier to digest.
Okay.
It's all about listening to your body and adjusting as needed.
So the elimination phase sounds pretty intense. What about the reintroduction?
That's where the real learning happens. You systematically reintroduce food groups one by one and carefully observe how your body responds.
Okay.
This is how you pinpoint any sensitivities or triggers you might have. So it's really about tailoring the program to your individual needs.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's about understanding your body's unique responses to food.
Yeah.
But now I'm curious to see how this meticulous approach to food connects to Snoop Dogg and his world.
Well, that's where we're headed next. Let's see what insights Snoop Dogg's cookbook can offer on this journey of food freedom.
Okay, so from meticulous analysis of ingredients to Snoop Dogg's kitchen. Gotta admit, I'm really curious to see what his cookbook reveals about his approach to food.
Yeah, and you might be surprised to learn that Snoop is actually quite the accomplished home cook.
Really?
Yeah, his cookbook From Crook to Cook, it's really not just a collection of recipes, it's a glimpse into his life and his love for food.
His personal fridge and pantry tour in the book is a must-read. It's like this fascinating mix of everyday staples and things I wouldn't necessarily expect a health guru to have on hand.
Right.
Like instant mac and cheese and Pop-Tarts.
Yeah, there's definitely a sense of indulgence there. But what I find interesting is how it all ties back to his personal journey with food.
Oh.
He talks about growing up with government cheese and his mom's soul food, and then working at McDonald's as a teenager.
Oh, wow.
It really paints this picture of food as both a necessity and a source of comfort and joy.
Yeah, and that reminds me of that whole 30 concept of food freedom that we were just talking
Yeah.
about. For Snoop, it seems like it's about embracing his culinary heritage and finding pleasure in a wide range of foods, whether it's a gourmet meal or a childhood favorite.
Exactly. It's a different expression of that same core idea, and it's reflected in the diversity of his recipes, too.
Yeah.
You know, you'll find everything from simple breakfasts, like his OG breakfast with eggs and bacon, to more elaborate dishes like lobster thermidor.
Oh, wow. Some of those recipes sound seriously delicious.
Oh, yeah.
Like his OG fried bologna sandwich.
Yes.
Yeah, just a few ingredients, but he has this technique of like double frying the bologna to create this like incredible crispy exterior
Yeah.
while keeping the inside juicy.
That's what I love about Snoop's cooking. It's approachable, it's full of flavor, he's not afraid to indulge, but there's also this clear understanding of technique and balance.
Yeah.
You know, like get that fried chicken wings. He uses potato chips in the breading for this crunchy, savory twist.
Real.
It's creative, it's playful, but it's also grounded in classic cooking principles.
It's making me rethink my whole impression of celebrity cookbooks.
Right.
But it does raise a question, you know, how do we reconcile this seemingly carefree approach to food with the disciplined structure of the plant-based Whole30? Are these two worlds really as different as they appear?
Perhaps not if we look closely. There's a common thread running through both of them. It's about mindful eating, being present with your food choices, and understanding the role that food plays in your life.
So whether you're carefully analyzing ingredients and their effects on your body, like in the plant-based Whole30, or embracing your culinary heritage and indulging in those soul-satisfying meals like Snoop,
Yeah.
it's ultimately about being intentional with your choices.
Precisely. It's not about restriction versus indulgence. It's about finding a balance that works for you and enjoying the journey.
I'm realizing after exploring these two approaches to food that maybe food freedom, it's less about specific rules and more about like a mindset shift.
Absolutely. It's about understanding your own needs and preferences and making choices that align with your goals, whether those goals are, you know, improved health,
Right.
or exploring new culinary experiences, or simply enjoying the food that you love.
It makes me wonder, could someone like Snoop Dogg, with his love for all things delicious,
Yeah.
and let's be honest, often indulgent, could he actually complete Whole30?
That is a question, isn't it?
Right.
It would be a challenge for sure, but you have to remember, Snoop, he has that hustle mentality, you know? He built an empire from the ground up, and that takes focus and commitment, which are qualities that are definitely needed for a successful Whole30.
True, and he's always evolving. I mean, who predicted a Snoop and Martha Stewart cooking show?
Right.
So maybe a plant-based Whole30 is just the next chapter in his journey.
Just imagine the possibilities.
I know.
Snoop's creativity in the kitchen, combined with the restrictions of the Whole30, could lead to some seriously innovative and delicious recipes.
Yeah.
Maybe a Whole30 compliant gin and juice.
Okay, now that's an image I can't get out of my head. Seriously, whether or not Snoop ever embarks on a Whole30, you know, what we've learned today is that there are many paths to food freedom.
Right. It's not about finding the right way to eat. It's about understanding your own relationship with food and finding a balance that works for you.
So, dear listeners, as we wrap up this deep dive into the seemingly opposite worlds of plant-based Whole30 and Snoop Dogg's culinary adventures, we leave you with this question: what does food freedom mean to you? We encourage you to check out these sources and consider your own unique journey with food. Until next time, keep diving deep and keep it flavorful.